Hey friends, how are you doing today? Are you a fan of Coleus like me? And if you are, how do you overwinter your Coleus so that you don't have to buy new plants every year? I first fell in love with Coleus in 2019. I saw them for the first time at a garden center and I brought a couple of them home. And I fell so in love with them because I found that they did such a wonderful job of brightening up a dark corner in my garden. And they were so easy to grow for me. In 2019, I was a brand new gardener. I'd never really grown anything in my entire life. And I decided to take Coleus home and they were so kind to me in that they really thrived in my garden, and maybe that's why I fell in love with them, at first sight. So that year when the cold weather hit, I didn't want to let them go. So what I did was I took a bunch of my Coleus in containers inside the house. And while it was possible, it was not the most convenient way to overwinter your Coleus. So the following years, I read more and more about Coleus, and I found out that taking cuttings from Coleus and trying to root them is actually really easy. All you need to do is find a healthy stem. Ooh, this one is so leafy that it's pretty hard to show you, but like this one right here, it's got like a strong sturdy stem, and I would say take anything that is like the size of a pencil. So for example, I'll show you. Just grab one and take a cutting of maybe 4 to 6 inches long, like this, and literally all you need to do is strip the leaves off, and what you need, sorry, is just a few leaves on top. Like I would say maybe, okay, like this is good, but if you want to, you could even take this one off, and you can take this one off, and you'll have this right here. Okay, I think this one's a little long. Oh, and when you take cuttings, just make sure you kind of do it under, right below the leaf nodes. Like you could do it right here. You could do it right here, or you can just like do it right here. So we'll see. Right about there. Yeah, and that's it. It's literally this easy. And you just stick this little guy in a glass of water, and you wait about 2 weeks and you'll start seeing roots coming out. Now let's go out front because I have two other varieties of Coleuses that I want to do. I have a redhead Coleus and lime thyme or limelight. No, I think it's lime thyme. Lime thyme Coleus, which is like a chartreuse color Coleus. It's really beautiful. So let's go. Okay, now we're out front, and this is my redhead Coleus that I have, and this is lime thyme Coleus. Today is October 1st. We're about 2 to 3 weeks away from the first frost, I think, but I just want to play it safe because night temperatures are dropping quite a bit right now. Like I think in a couple of nights we'll go as low as like 37 degrees, and these guys are super tender. So I don't want to take that risk. And because I'm bringing these cuttings from outside, I would recommend that you spray the leaves with soapy water or just regular water, or submerge the whole cuttings into like a bucket of water. Rub the leaves with your fingers just to make sure that you're not bringing insects into your house. Aphids could be a problem when it comes to Coleus plants, but these insects could be easily treated by spraying them with soapy water or just regular water, or by regularly checking on your plants to see if they have aphids. And if they do, you can just wipe them off with your fingers. They're not particularly harmful insects, in my opinion, if spotted early on and treated early on. So now that we have our little cuttings in some water, all you need to do next is just place them near a window where they can receive some bright light. And after that, you pretty much just leave them alone and let nature take its course. Maybe check back every couple of days to see if the water needs to be refilled. And if the water gets murky, make sure to change the water out and to make sure that it has fresh water all the time. But other than that, there's really not much you can do at this point other than to just wait. After maybe 2 to 3 weeks, you should start seeing some roots. Right now we're on day 16 and yay, some of them are already developing tiny little roots. I'm probably gonna wait another week or two for all of them to root before I pot these guys up. From here on, I'm gonna use the pictures and videos from last year to show you the next few steps to overwintering our Coleus. So this was an image from last year. So last year I only had redhead Coleus and chocolate mint Coleus. So I would wait for the roots to be about 1 inch or 1.5 inches long before I pot these guys up. And I would say that small pots would suffice. With these guys, the bigger the pots, the bigger the plants. So if it depends on what you really want to do. If you want to display them as indoor plants, then feel free to use a bigger pot because they will grow. Now, if you want to get a bushy plant, you cannot be afraid to prune them, because if you don't, you'll end up with a tall and lanky plant. Now this one was potted up in a really big pot, and look at how big this one grew. And this one also. This pot was about 8 inches tall and wide, and I had it up in my bedroom next to the window that's facing the south side. So it grew really well because it received a lot of sunlight. And this plant was quite bushy because I kept cutting off the first 4 or 5 inches of the top stems. And if I didn't, I would end up with a tall and lanky plant like this one here. Another thing I want to add is that if you have a hard time looking for pots, or if you ran out of pots, you can use any type of container with these guys. Like last year I ran out of pots and I decided to use like one of those plastic party cups, and look at how well they did in these. Just make sure you cut some holes in the bottom of the cups to ensure good drainage. And these cups actually turned out to be super convenient and super manageable for me because I was able to propagate so many of these, and while they were healthy, they didn't grow too large. So I was able to have like so many of them. Now over the winter months, I would care for my Coleus plants like I would my house plants. When springtime arrives, we might be so eager to bring our plants outside, but whatever you do, don't make the same mistake that I made last year. I brought my Coleus out way too early, and even though I didn't kill it, I stunted its growth pretty severely. So when I brought him out, it was April and the days were warm, but I forgot to take into account that night temperature were still kind of dipping below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I also brought these guys out too abruptly instead of gradually exposing them to outdoor environments. So I did a lot of things wrong because of my impatience. That summer, a few of my Coleus plants ended up looking like bonsai trees. Luckily, I didn't do this to all of my Coleus. My advice to you would be, don't let your impatience ruin your time and effort that you've put in for the last 4 or 5 months. Just go slow. Maybe put them in a shaded area for a couple of hours in a day at first for the first week before you transplant them into a container or before you plant them in your garden. And make sure night temperatures stay consistently above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If you follow these simple steps, you should have beautiful Coleus plants to brighten up your garden next year, and you can save yourself some money as well. I hope that my video helps, especially for those of you who have never done this before, or maybe you just don't know where to begin, like me 3 years ago. For the more experienced gardeners out there, if I'm doing something wrong or if there are ways to do this better, please feel free to drop me some comments. I would love to learn. I think gardening I really love it because I learn new things every day. And that's it for me today. Thank you for watching and happy gardening.